So I was thinking it'd be fun to make some short lick lessons to give you guys something fun to practice whilst you're stuck at home in this current situation. So starting off, we have this lick that I transcribed from an old Joe Bonamassa video. I think it was something from a sound check or a rig rundown, something like that. But if I find the original, I will link it in the comments or in the description. And it's in E Mixolydian. And before we break it down, here's what it sounds like slow, and I'll put some tab on screen so that you can follow along at home. Alright, let's now break this down into 3 separate sections, and then once we've gone through them, I'm going to talk about what you can actually learn from this lick. So part number 1 went like this. Part number 2 goes like this. And part number 3 goes like this. And all together. So what can you learn from this lick? Well, I would say that it's a prime example of showing you how you can get creative with modes. As I said, it's based out of E Mixolydian, and one problem that I see a lot of guitar players face when they first learn modes of the major scale is that they have no difficulty learning the positions of the scale all over the fretboard. But other than simply ascending and descending the positions of the scale when they're trying to improvise, they don't really know what to do with it. They don't know how to get creative. And this lick, as I said, is just a great example of revealing more of the fun that's to be had with the Mixolydian mode, which is a scale I use all the time in my playing. And so the first thing I want to point out is that the start of this lick almost has a minor pentatonic vibe to it, right? Like, what does that remind you of? What does that make you think of? Because it makes me think of this. Right? Position 1 of the E minor pentatonic scale, that's what it sounds like. And the reason for that is Mixolydian, the scale formula for it is very close to what you get if you combine a minor pentatonic and a major pentatonic with the same root note. For example, combining E minor pentatonic with E major pentatonic. If you combine those two scale formulas, you'll find that you get something that is very close to the scale formula for Mixolydian. And I actually have a dedicated video on my channel about this topic, so go and check that out once you're finished with this. So just remember that when you're improvising with Mixolydian, you don't always have to go for a strictly modal sound. You don't have to play things like this all the time. You could do that, but then also mix in some minor pentatonic licks, like this, for example. Another cool thing that this lick demonstrates is the use of triads and arpeggios that are found within the Mixolydian mode. So for example, part 2, that's all based around an E7 arpeggio, which you can just think of if you're not familiar with arpeggios, but you are familiar with triads, let's say. You can just think of a dominant 7th arpeggio as adding a flat 7th to a major arpeggio. For example, root, 3rd, 5th. That's your basic E major triad. And to make it an E7 arpeggio, just add the flat 7th here at fret 15 on the B string. And then you can have all sorts of fun with that. You know, Joe chooses to play it with these cool semitone bends from 1 fret below the root note. So he bends from 1 fret below and then hammers onto the note. So you're kind of hearing the pitch of that note twice but in a cool sort of expressive way. And then he does the same thing with the flat 7th. So he picks the flat 7th, picks 1 fret below and bends up so that he's reaching the pitch of the flat 7th, and then hammers onto it. And then at the very end of the lick, he just goes for a straight ahead E major triad. That's all based around a second inversion E major triad. And he's just sliding into it. And when he gets to the major 3rd, as you can see, he bends it up and releases it. Now I really like the end of that lick because it's a nice contrast to the other 2 parts. Like, as I just pointed out, the start of the lick has that minor pentatonic vibe to it. And then the second part has got more of a dominant 7th sound. And then the very end is just a straight up major triad sound. So there's a nice contrast, and that's why I love Mixolydian, because you can mix in things like major triads with minor pentatonic licks, and it's just a really nice combination of tonalities. So remember that when you're improvising with Mixolydian and a lot of the other major scale modes as well, you don't always have to do the usual approach of just ascending and descending the scale, or arpeggiating it like that. You can mix in, you know, minor pentatonic licks, major pentatonic, dominant 7th, major triads, all sorts of things. But anyway, I'll stop rambling there because I did want this video to be short. If you guys want to learn more about Mixolydian and how to improvise with modes of the major scale, check out my courses, check out my website, it's linked in the description. It's called bulletproofguitarplayer.com. And yeah, I'll leave you with that. If you want some more quick lick lessons, let me know and I'll do my best to get some more out for you next week. And other than that, I don't have much else to say. I guess stay healthy, stay safe, and I will see you in the next one.